What's up, everyone? Welcome to ClearTalk. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Trump interview that he had with Kristen Welker from NBC a few days ago. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the highlights and stuff and just sort of touch on that a little bit. It was basically really some of the same stuff he's been talking about, but it did, they did go through some of his first, like some of the key things that he wants to concentrate on in his administration and whatnot. And we're going to hit a couple of those things in this highlight reel. It's only like 3 minutes. And then I'm going to kind of touch on one part of the interview that it kind of annoyed me. Um, because it was just a personal thing. Anyways, so thank you very much if you enjoy what I'm doing here. Like and subscribe, comment, share, all the good stuff if you like. And if you would like, also check out my other channels, JM Drummer, JMD Play. You got the Discord there, one-time donations, or you can do JMD Nation for $3 a month at Patreon. Any support you give is much appreciated, and I thank you very, very, very much. So, I'm going to, let's see here, swap over. So yeah, he gives an interview. Interestingly enough, his first interview since winning the election, uh, with NBC, with Kristen Welker, who is clearly uh, on a more moderate, lefty. Well, I wouldn't even say left, just a moderate centrist reporter with NBC. Anyways, um, so uh, so it's definitely kind of an adversary to some degree, but she was very respectful. I thought she did a great job, even though she um, got a lot of hate in the comments from his supporters and stuff. Saying that just like he kind of gave himself, um, saying that it was just bad questions, horrible questions like he always does, that he's always a victim. He doesn't get, the easy softball ice cream questions that Biden got, whatever that means. And that, that it's just nasty questions. The way he put it at the end, but it's ridiculous. It's like any kind of questions that anytime any of these an interviewer, kind of, I guess you could say, would be kind of like fact checking to some degree, be like, look, well, this, this didn't, go the way you're saying it, or somebody has, uh, said that they didn't do that, or they didn't say that, or whatever, that, some sort of like rebuttal to any kind of degree, even the minimalist degree. Because, like I said, she was respectful. Yes, she come back at him on a couple of questions, but I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. She's actually just doing her job. Uh, he even claims, or he even says towards the end, when he's talking about sort of the press in general, but he states, like when you interview Biden, or when the press interviews Biden, like you, and then goes on and she, tries to clarify to him, look, I have never, interviewed Biden personally. And he's like, well, I just meant to metaphorically, and which is not even the reason way that should be stated anyway. Like, that's not what that really means. Um, but it's, and she just kind of accepts it and goes on. But I mean, it's like, it's just the way he just comes off every time. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, here's some highlights. Like I said, this is a highlight reel. They're gonna go kind of fast. So I'm gonna be pausing to talk about each one for a second, but well, if I feel like there's something to be said, which probably will be, but anyways, all right. So here we are. Let's start it.
Do you have an actual plan at this point for healthcare?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We are.
So this one's, we remember back in the debate, when healthcare came up, and this was the debate against Kamala, if I'm not mistaken. He states that he has, when asked about the healthcare thing, he states that he has, concepts of a plan, and that they're still, they're working on it. This is something that apparently, this been kind of the joke, one of the biggest jokes of Trump since he's left office, because he was supposed to have had, he was supposed to get rid of Obamacare, supposed to have, presented a whole new healthcare system, or, whatever, that was going to just, a healthcare plan that was going to just fix America, was going to fix the healthcare. They tried to get rid of Obamacare a few times, and he tried to present his own healthcare thing, which was Trump Care, or Trump Health, or something like that, just Trump something, and it had horrible ratings, or percentage support. Like I think it was only supported like 8%. It got rid of pre-existing conditions and stuff, which is like one of the big things for that Obamacare won on, and kind of fixed at the time when Obamacare did come into play. Even though he claimed the whole time that it wasn't going to do that, that was like the main thing in his plan, was that it was going to get rid of those stipulations or whatever. So it never worked through. And then you've had the infamous what's his name? John. Anyways, voting down, to get rid of Obamacare, and so it didn't pass, and they did some reformations of sorts, a few little changes to Obamacare to help strengthen it a little bit, which is what anyways. So that was all he really got through. And ever since, he's been supposedly had these plans, and he was going to be well. We are now, 4 years removed from him leaving office. 8 years removed from him originally being in office, and he still has no plan. It's concepts. We have ideas. We have a group of people, a team of people. Sorry, I just hit my mic. Commonly thing I do. A team of people that are working up. It's like they're brainstorming. It's like it's taking them. They're still brainstorming after all these years, trying to figure out something to come up with for a health plan. And he's like, and whenever they come up with something that I like, we'll present it. So apparently, this team must be one of the worst teams ever to try to come up with a healthcare plan, because they still have not been able to come with it. They have concepts, they have ideas, but it's like none of it apparently is good enough for them to actually, bring to the table, or there actually is no plan, period. And it's just lies. Well, I mean, one or the other. It's just as simple as that. But yeah, so he's still even getting ready to go into office. He still just has concepts of a plan.
We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking, because Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers.
In your concepts of a plan, sir, will people with pre-existing conditions still have coverage? And can you guarantee their prices will not go up?
The answer is yes. They'll have coverage. You have to have it.
And what about their prices?
Because you know what?
What about their prices, sir?
I want the prices to go down.
Like you've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it.
So yeah, the birthright thing has to do with, of course, immigration. That was at the very end of the immigration segment of the interview. He had a lot of we've had to talk about the separation. That happened under his first administration, where they had the separation. The children or whatnot. It was like 5,000 children or whatever were separated from the families. And it got so bad, like the like animosity of that whole like program got so bad that he had to wind up stopping it himself, even though he was allowing it to begin with. He wound up having to stop it himself because it was just people were outraged by it. And even to this day, there's still like 1,000 kids that have not been reunited with families. So that's like a big issue with the immigration thing, was him, and that's been the talk here, especially from the guy that he has put in place of the border, and doing the mass deportation stuff, is that that particular guy was working with in ICE previously under his administration, and although he wasn't directly in ties with the group that was doing or handling the separation thing program, he was in full support of it, and he's even talked since then about that. He still is in support of that. And so the question is come up with that, about separating kids and or in deporting families. How are you going to handle this? And he was basically like, well, it would come. He was like, it's come down to the he kind of it took several times of her questioning him before he really kind of honed in on like a reasonable answer that could come off as kind of like, okay, but because at first he's like, well, yeah, I mean, if we got to send the family back, he's like, well, that means you're going to send back people, because you have people that have mixed documentation, families that you might have a mother or father that's undocumented, but then you have the children or something are legal. Maybe they were born here or whatever, but they have legal status, or any member of the family has legal status. You're gonna force the whole family to go back. And he was basically, well, yeah, if we have to, this is going to be the way it is. And he's like, so you're going to force people who are legally here to leave, And he was like, well, if that's what they choose to do, he's basically trying to eventually come around to saying, well, it'll be up to the family. If the family, if they want to be okay with, a dad going back because he's undocumented and the rest of the family stay here or whatever, then that's fine. But otherwise, yeah, we're going to have to send them all back. It's like they either separate themselves, they voluntarily separate, or they're all going back. There's no, allowing the undocumented person to go through, the process to become legal. It's just, they've got to go out. And but it kept coming off kind of like this whole, kind of like almost a pressure of pushing, making sure as many of them leave as possible, even if they are legally here. It's like, that's just kind of the way it rubbed off to me. It's like it's there, which I feel like it's kind of the sentiment in the whole plan to begin with. They're trying to get as many of them to go, like, because most families don't want to separate. I mean, they just don't. But it's basically them saying, you either separate or you're all going back. And that's the only options you're going to have. So anyways, so that was kind of the main crux of the beginning of that. But then we get into that part, where she's questioning,
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United...
Yeah, about the birthright. For a second, I lost my train of thought. For the birthright, which is where, if a family comes over and then, they have a child while on our soil, on U.S. soil, that's a birthright, legal status. And it's a part of the 14th Amendment that, if you're born on this... born on our soul, then you are a citizen. And that seems to be, and he states there, yes, they're intending on trying to remove that. They, don't they? There's hardcore Republicans that don't agree with that. He stated that we are the only country that allows that. No other country allows that. I'm not completely sure on that, but either way, I don't really think that the point is that that's what we have established in our Constitution. All right, is that if you're born here, you are a citizen. You were born on this soil, you're a citizen. So they would have to go through into change an amendment is a pretty hefty process. It is something that has to be accepted by all the states. I think, if I'm not mistaken, or at least the 48. I don't know. I can't remember how exactly it works, but it's a pretty hefty process where all the states, I think for the most part, all the states have to agree on the change. So I feel like that one's going to be kind of a hard one for him to manage. But he also tried to claim that he could attempt to do it through some type of executive action if need be. So, which will be, probably held up in courts for years. Of what, if granted, it depends upon whether it ultimately goes to the Supreme Court, I guess, and whether they decide to favor it, or him or whatever. But yeah, that's it's it's just another way, in my opinion, that they're trying to go against our Constitution, what we have. But yes, the argument, I'm in agreement that certainly the Constitution can change and it can be amended and changed. The idea was that it was an open live document for it to be changed with the times. Okay. But in this instance, you're not changing it with the times. You're taking it backwards. And that's assuming that our time is going backwards, like the mentality, the zeitgeist of the nation is moving back where it once was. But that is, in my opinion, not the case. But it's just a small group of people that want to actually take us backwards. But anyways, it's going to be a struggle. So I feel like that's something that's more than likely he probably won't be able to get done in the first place.
United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action.
You campaigned on destroying the deep state. Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
Do you think that's right? Do you think that's right, sir?
If they think that somebody was dishonest or crooked or a corrupt politician, I think he probably has an obligation to do it. But
are you going to direct him to do it?
No, not at all.
Are you going to go after Joe Biden?
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success. If we can make this country successful, that would be that would be such a great achievement.
For the sake of unifying this country.
Trump is like he's like the king of plausible deniability. When it comes to things like this, like these official type of interviews, he will hit a middle ground where he doesn't actually really answer the question, or he'll kind of play in the gray area, so to speak, with something that, even though he has previously stated as a confirmed thing, in his rallies or whatever the case, whenever presented in this type of format, he always kind of, to some degree, backpedals. He always will pull back and, no, I'm not going to force them. But I mean, if they find something, and I mean, yeah, they kind of obligated to, right? But I'm not going to, that's kind of the way he tends to always play, in my opinion. He's a plausible deniability. That's what he played on when it comes to January 6th, and multitude of other things that he's uh, trying to get himself out of. That to try to uh, make himself seem as innocent as possible. If in the future, or whatever it actually comes to happen, actually happens, he can. But well, I mean, I said that it could. I just wasn't gonna, when clearly, he's clearly he's put these people in place for a reason. He's made these statements in the past for a reason. So anyways.
Will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when
won't
you
ever
say the
concede?
country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president. I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me.
Sir, Democrats have control.
Everything's about him. When it all comes down to it, everything's about him. He's a victim of everything. It's so annoying. But we've got him on tape. He says he's not going to go after him. So I don't know.
Control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they're going around stealing elections, why
When you
didn't
say
they do it
Democrats
this
have
time?
control now?
Of the White House.
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
What do you want to say?
Yeah, he completely, it was wild to me where he would state that, he would state that, we've had the whole idea that, they stole the 2020 election. That's the whole that's the whole point. That's in what he would not concede a minute ago, and that they stole it. But then, they have full press, full opportunity this time to so-called steal it, and that's what we've been arguing this whole time. It was the idea that if he lost, then they stole it, but if he won, then they didn't steal it. The election was a clean election. It was great. It was fantastic. It was perfect because he won, and that's the idea. That's been what they clearly the whole time, and so now it's it was too big for them to rig it. They were incapable of rigging it. It's like you argued all the way up until the election that it was going to be rigged. You were, arguing that even while it was going, the day of, arguing about, illegal stuff happening or people doing this or that or whatever in Atlanta and everything else. I mean, it was, blaming this fraud and everything else. But then once the results come in, all of a sudden it's, oh, well, yeah, it was fair. It was good. Everything's good. I mean, I won, It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
To Americans who didn't support you in this campaign?
I'm going to treat you every bit as well as I have treated the greatest MAGA supporters. There's never been anything like MAGA in the history of this country. These people are so dedicated to making America great again. It's very simple. And I'm going to treat them just the same as I treat MAGA. We're going to treat everybody good.
So he's going to try to steal from us. Because that's pretty much what he's treated MAGA. He's treated MAGA by constantly getting them to buy shit from him. Even like whatever, yesterday or the past couple of days, there has been a perfume, cologne, whatever ad. For what I assume is like some Trump cologne or something. Where he's been in the UK or something, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Europe for some type of ceremony or something. That was the funny thing that was being said, that here lately JD has not even been around. Like he's been almost invisible. Everywhere you see Trump, you see Elon instead of JD, and people are questioning whether Elon is actually the vice president instead of JD, are going to be vice president. And then even in this, he's over there in Europe for this whatever ceremony thing, and Elon is with him. But when spotted at whatever event they were at or something, it was actually, funny enough, spotted sitting beside Jill Biden, and the ad was like there was a picture that was taken of him beside Jill, and Jill was looking in his general direction. I'm not sure if she was actually looking at him or not. It's unclear, but the ad was, it smells so good even your enemies can't resist you. It's ridiculous, but he's did so many scams, so many things, to get his supporters to send money to him for everything. And so, that to me is all he has really done for MAGA, is scam the hell out of them. So if he's going to treat us like he treats them, then that just means he's going to scam us. That's the way I read that. Because that's all he's really done for MAGA, scammed them. I mean, he didn't do half the shit that he said he was going to do in his first administration. Now, in this one, he's liable to do a lot of stuff, but it's going to be in the name of the rich and wealthy, just like he did in the first one. He's going to make the rich richer. He's got the, a cabinet currently that's worth like $300 something billion combined. Now, if they're including Elon in that, he takes up about half of that himself. But I mean, it's it's the most the richest cabinet in history. You have the most billionaires in history in a cabinet. It's filled with CEOs, Wall Street, and warmongers. I mean, none of which MAGA is interested in, or shouldn't be anyways, according to their standards. Well, maybe the warmonger part, but that's the problem with MAGA, is that their sense of what their enemy actually is, what the swamp actually is. They think it's more Washington D.C. than it is Wall Street. They actually think Wall Street is on their side for some stupid reason. Anyways, but this part of the interview here is what kind of annoyed me, because he kind of does this little jab at her. And it's annoying to me. So here let me play real quick.
Member, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it. And they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny doing that.
If you do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
They deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for the National Guard.
They put out a statement.
On January 6th, let me...
And now what they're talking about here is the election Oh, not election. The elected, like the committee that was looking into January 6th and all that kind of stuff. And he's claiming that all the evidence that they collected over that time, all of it was deleted. It was just everything was deleted, and there's no proof of any of it anymore. Blah blah blah, and she just simply states to him what they've denied that. I mean, they still which is for, they're not going to just delete that anyways. But it's kind of nonsense. But she's just stating that look, they're denying that. So I mean, it is what it is. Whatever. It's not that she was really even saying that he was wrong. It's just that she's just stating that they're denying it. But this is what he continues.
Let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about
It's
January
amazing.
6th.
I wish you could be if you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it.
So he basically, he compliments her by being condescending to her ability to do her job, stating that she, has so much potential, but that she needed to be non-biased. And by non-biased, he means that she needed to believe him. He had the truth. He's telling her what it is, even if she, and really in her stating that, that who he's claiming, who the ones he's claiming are, did something. She's actually just presenting that, well, they have denied doing that. So that's really her actually being non-biased. She's not saying that he's wrong, but she's just saying that, you could take it as her implying it, but she's just stating that they denied it. So technically she is being non-biased because she didn't really go against him. She just said, well, she's just presenting the other side's argument. So, but he's asking her to be non-biased, but to believe him, which is to be biased. So he's basically asking her to be non-biased by being biased to him, because that's what he wants. He wants her to just accept his answer, accept that he's right, which would make her then biased to him. So it's just an annoying, ridiculous thing, because that's all he wants. He's so narcissistic, and that he can't be wrong. He's always right. And if you in any way disagree with him, then he just, he'll, whatever, put you down, condescend you or whatever, or if you're, or fire you if he can, sue you if he can. I mean, he can't be wrong. And this is who he is. And it was just so annoying to me that in that moment he decided to, I guess call himself putting her in her place or teaching her something, how to be a better reporter, because she's not babying him or just accepting every answer he gives. She's not being biased to him. And it's just ridiculous. I found that extremely annoying. And, you had a lot of people in the comments, throwing that out there as like a got you, like, oh, he owned her, he told her, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, he didn't do anything. He just basically told her to be non-biased by being biased. To, to favor him, and she would, that's her potential. She has so much potential if she would just come to his side, so to speak. It's just it was ridiculous. Anyways, there was a lot of other things talked and discussed in here, and that may not have necessarily been the best highlight reel. I mean, but it kind of gives you the gist. In his first 100 days, he, immediately wants to work on the border stuff and trying to in the war stuff. I mean, and that's something that I'm a little questionable on what effect he's going to have on that and what the outcomes of that effect is going to be. But and then he said he wanted to work on prices. Drill baby drill. That's his plan for prices. Pretty much. So, anyways. That was the interview in a nutshell. It was really just all the same shit that he's been saying all along. Like I said, the biggest concern things for me was really the immigration talk and the separating kids thing, or just deporting, families of mixed statuses and things like that. That was really kind of annoying, a little disturbing to me. And that was pretty much one of the bigger things that really kind of disturbed me about the whole thing. But it's just, I don't know. I'm still worried about how things are going to go. But some of his picks are questionable now. And we thought for a minute there Pete Hegseth was kind of out, but apparently he's still in. That was someone that they talked about heavily in this interview. That he's still backing him, still supports him. But he's probably still going to be a hard one to pass. Probably the hardest one to pass, I think, at this point, outside of maybe Patel. But we'll see how all that works out. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of, this may have been a completely pointless video, I guess, maybe, but I just wanted to go over some of that and talk about it. The interview, like I said, it wasn't really worth just going over the whole interview. It was over an hour long, and that would have been completely pointless. But anyways, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the interview, what he said in it. If there's parts that I missed or didn't cover, and you want to address or talk about, let me know in the comments. Or we can all hash it out in the comments, whatever. But thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.